camera movement. Instead, we can use a more efficient method known as the camera's depth of field. First, add in your background and foreground. Scale them both how you would like. Enable 3D for both of them. Now, move the background's Z position far back. This value determines the distance between your view and the image. Afterwards, scale it up as it fits the screen. Here's the fun part. Add a camera and enable the depth of field option. Go to the camera settings and increase the aperture. This determines how blurry an object can be from near or far away. Mess around with the focus distance until you see what fits best. Change the iris shape to one of these options. The more sides it has, the better the quality of the blur. Finally, add the motion tile effect to the background. Increase both the output width and height. This makes the background look endless during camera movement. We want to make the video look flashy, which is why you should first start with the footage position and rotation. Put keyframes at the start and change it at whatever point you want the scene to end. Ease both keyframes with shortcut F9 and make them smoother with the graph editor. Let's do the same steps for the camera. Add keyframes for just the position. I like to use the unified camera tool for the last keyframe. Ease them with shortcut F9 and smoothen in the graph editor. It's okay to animate the focus distance if your foreground gets out of focus. What makes these types of videos unique are the several effects added on top. Let's start off with the wiggle expression. Turn everything into a pre-comp and open its position. Click on it while holding Alt. This first value determines the frequency of the shake, while the second determines the intensity of the shake. Afterwards, add the motion tile effect with increased output width and height. I have a few recommendations to create a nice looking video. Use optics compensation for a fisheye view. Sapphire vignette for a dark or dramatic effect. And finally, 2 black bars for a cinematic look. To achieve this, add a black solid. Search for the effect CC Jaws and assign that onto the solid. Change the height to 0. At last, modify the completion however you like. If simple cuts are not your thing, we can always refer to transitions. I'll be showcasing my black bar transition and the sapphire shake effect. For the first one, add a white solid and trim it appropriately. Then, have it decreased to 0% opacity at the end. At the ending point, open up the CC Jaws effect in your black solid and set a keyframe for the completion. Set another one exactly before that keyframe. Change the completion on the second keyframe to 0%. Now, let us set this aside and make a quick calculation. According to the song, I would need to bump up my bars 3 times. Since the completion is 75%, dividing them means the completion should go up by 25% at each bump. So, let us do exactly that. Since my song of choice uses sounds with repetitive length, I could just copy and paste those keyframes then modify them. That was a doozy. Let's move on to the other transition. Search up the shake effect and apply S-shake to your composition. Turn on motion blur and open the panels X shake and Y shake. I like to set both frequencies to 0.4. Now, move back a bit before the end of the composition and set the amplitude to 0. At the end of the composition, set the amplitude to whichever value you like. I prefer 40 instead. Now, smoothen these values with F9 and go to the graph editor. Move both handles to the right. Let us continue on to the second composition. Pause at the start and apply the S-shake effect to it. Again, turn on motion blur, open the X and Y panel and set both frequencies to 0.4. For the next step, we will first set a keyframe for the amplitude at 40. Then, go forwards by a bit and set the keyframe to 0. Finally, smoothen them with F9. Go to the graph editor and move both handles to the left.